listening to Living at the Highest Level with LATHL.
You're listening to Living at the Highest Level with LATHL, and today we have a special guest, my good friend, Julian Asuncion, a.k.a. JULS. And Julian, did I say your name right?
You did, and I appreciate you having me. This is dope. This is it's good to connect with you again, my friend. So.
Hey, no worries. Mm-hmm. So Julian here is a local Vancouver artist making big waves right now.
Oh, man.
Very talented. Just a backstory before we actually get into his new album. Mm-hmm. We actually used to work together.
That's what's up.
Right? And we used to be selling fiber optics across Canada.
Yep, that's right.
And Julian every single day would be rapping freestyles for us. You remember that?
Yeah. Whether it was in the car, hotel room, doesn't matter. Restaurants, yeah.
Yeah, so the first time I met Julian was with a few friends. And then another time when I met him in the office environment, so clean cut, super fresh. And then you take him out of that environment, you see him with like his Kobe Bryant jersey on with like this bandana, this do-rag. And he's like, you guys remember back in the days, like in the 80s, where they pull out those huge basketball socks?
You got that shit.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
We got pictures of that too, right?
Oh, man, I remember that. Great time. And the point of that little story was we worked together. Julian was so passionate at what he was doing at that time. Mm-hmm. And we were just talking, just real talk, telling about like things he wanted to do, mm-hmm. his ambitions, his goals, mm-hmm. and what he wanted to achieve in his lifetime.
That's right. It's we've come a long way, and it's just a point of really identifying yourself as a human being. I think we all have to go through the motions. Working together was definitely a catalyst. I mean, you remember the conversations we were having together just to really push each other and really motivate each other in pursuing what we really feel is our true intention on this earth. So it was a true blessing to work with you for those couple months, and now I'm chasing it. Now I'm chasing what's real. So
yeah, life goes full circle. Everyone that's listening, there's a time and period that things are just so organic, and you do things and everyone has a goal in life, but they try to force things way too much. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it naturally just comes full circle, because without Julian being a part of my journey, I would never come to live like this podcast, mm-hmm. and you guys wouldn't be rocking to Living at the Highest Level today.
Respect to that, man. I love what you're doing. This is really dope, giving artists like myself and true, craftsmanship a platform to really talk and promote what we do, what we love to do.
For sure.
It's really dope.
And I want the audience just to get a sense of what it takes to be successful and just get off their ass, regardless of what you're doing, if it's in school, mm-hmm. sales, sports, mm-hmm. and life in general. You got one shot at this, right? You can't do it again. So our goal and my goal is to deconstruct the successes and the stories and really fine-tune the key moments and the aha moments that, like Julian or anyone else that comes on the show, it triggered for them.
Respect.
It just triggered for them.
Mad respect.
All right, so let's get into it.
All right.
So just for you guys to know, Julian has performed, I would say, all across Vancouver,
That's right.
BC.
That's right.
He's opened up for AZ, the Beatnuts, Rakim, Warren
mm-hmm.
G.
Mm-hmm.
So all you guys that grew up in the 90s, Regulator.
The real heads,
That's
real hip-hop. These are my heroes, I was just on, I was on a radio station just last week with Urban Renewal Project, and she mentioned one of the artists in her ears is still AZ, mm-hmm. And I tell everyone this, and this is no lie, this is truth, to the highest form. If I were to die tomorrow, I could say I open for my favorite rapper of all time, and I mean that shit. So, whatever you put your mind to, really anything is possible. I had no idea he was even coming into our city. So just to see him perform was a true gift, just a true feeling of another energy, and to let alone perform along, on the same stage, same crowd. It was unreal. So that's respect for you did your homework on that for sure.
Man, for sure. And the thing I want everyone that's listening to know is, how does it feel? Like putting someone on a pedestal, admiring that person, that individual, and then finally getting to meet them in person,
right.
and then performing with them.
That feeling is it's hard to put into words. I'll try to sum it up though. It's almost like, the cliche is dream come true. Really, I have not even barely tapped into all the goals I've written down just on my level of what I see myself doing on this planet. This is all. We're all in our temporary beings, right? I mean, we're all. This is this time is what we make of it, and I was always green to performing. Like I was always eager to learn and listening to the AZs and the rock hymns, the Nas. It was just it brought ease to my ability of storytelling. What I'm saying is these guys are sharing their story to the truest form of the poetics of hip hop, and I was thinking, man, shit, I could do this too. I could definitely do this too. And the feeling of meeting them is a different story, because you look at these guys and these guys are your fucking heroes. You idolize them, you follow their work. And I'm a toddler, listening to their music. I'm like, my brother introduced me to AZ when I was probably like 9 years old, so I'm listening to AZ at 9 years old, some, decade years later, and I'm shaking the man's hand. I'm asking him questions. I'm performing alongside. It's a fucking crazy feeling, man. It is a crazy feeling. So it just made me want to achieve more. It didn't put a stop. When I say if I died tomorrow, I could say I opened for him, it did not put a stop to the endless means of what I can see myself doing and achieving on this earth.
And then at what point did you decide that, hey, this is something that I love from a perspective of just being a fan until, actually this is what I want to do?
Right. There was a pivotal moment. Rapping was never in my longevity of what I saw myself doing. I loved poetry. I loved storytelling. I was that closet poetry writer in high school, all throughout high school, write about my feelings, writing about, whatever came to mind, and trying to, make, multi-syllabic rhymes meet and forming stanzas together. And I'm thinking, this is just what I do as a hobby. It's more like my personal outlet. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until this new generation of rap and hip hop. There was a generation where the Kendrick Lamars and the J. Coles, the Wale's, the Big Crits, they were all coming into the scene, and they had real substance, real substance. And there was a track J. Cole came out with. It's funny because this is the track that got him signed with Jay-Z, and it was Lights Please. And I remember my boys Vince and John showing me this shit, and I was like, oh, yo, this is funny, because I'm like, he's rapping about, making it in this world, how the women come across in his life, live in this sort of, in the time now sort of lifestyle, versus really seeing the possibilities that you can really make in this world. And I said, holy shit, I could do this too. I could, it was like in 2010, I think it was 2010, 2010. So, 5 years ago, I was thinking, I could do this too. So I put my poetry into raps, and I was explaining to my friends, I would always freestyle. I was freestyling since grade 9, but that's all fun, right? Right. That's, I'm not trying to make a living off of this. This is just fun and passion. It's music, it's artistry. But when I heard that track, and then I listened to the entire warm-up mixtape, I was like, holy shit, I could put bars together myself. I could put my life, my poems into these raps and tell a true story that can send a message to a generation where everyone's tuning into what's in right now.
So for the people that don't understand the makeup of a rap song, what does a bar mean, Julian?
Bar is represented by the construction of how your rhyme scheme is. Gotcha. So it's how you in the simplest way, it's your AB rhyme scheme. You know what I mean? So one bar is one line. How you follow that one bar is dependent on you. You could follow the AB simplistic rhyme scheme. You could make a multi-syllabic rhyme combine. It's just that's the best part, is like people construct music on a commercial level where 16 bars is where it's at. That's right. That's what makes music, is 16 bars. Then comes your hook, You know, you can have like Alicia Keys in New York, you know, singing and shit after, and then you come in with your 16 bars again. But rappers these days, like, they're like breaking the structure. You know, sometimes if you hear my track Raw and Uncut on my latest album, there is no structure to how those bars fit. You know, when I'm saying, you know, I'm coming in on the beginning, like the very first, and you'll hear the a cappella of it because it's just the way I was writing that time.
Man. What to date has been your favorite show that you performed at?
Oh, that's a good question. Favorite show was the most recent. It was like my first outdoor festival. It was East Van Summer Jam.
Okay.
And it was because there was a shitload of talent, my friend. Like a ton of talent, you know. Mayor Hawthorne, Ab Soul, BJ the Chicago Kid, who killed that entire set. It was insane. You know, Kalila, and then the local performers, the local bands. I mean, I'm a fan of Star. Like I listen to live music, live bands. You know, Star Captains and the Boom Booms. The Boom Booms are actually the originators of this East Van Summer Jam event. You know, started in their backyard. And took it to the next level, just took it to the next level where they can say, hey, let's make this a community event versus, something that we put in our backyard. To be on that card was a true blessing. And shout out to my cousin Nico for putting that faith in me. He was part of the planning committee, and he was really pushing he's like, you guys, just, give this man a chance. Like he's got a story to tell, he's got talent. And that's, having that faith in me is all I need to just ace the fucking show. Like, there is no way. I came in with a talented live band, The Movement. Shout out to Nee, Ian, Tom, Josh, Josh on the keys, and my producer, EveKey. We was all there, and the feeling was different because when you perform in these nightclubs, like when you perform and open for your heroes, that's another feeling. Mm-hmm. But the energy at this festival was an outer body experience. I was looking down at myself at one point like, holy fuck, man, this is wild. So,
you bring up a really great point about having a support system around you that really gives you that extra energy when you're not feeling the best or your mood is changing. Right. Because in life, a lot of times, your mood is never going to tell you to do the right things. But you need that support. You need that preparation to get yourself out of that state. Mm-hmm. Right? Because, it's, for a lot of people, they struggle with that. They don't have, the best support system, be it their families not supportive of their actual dream. And they're trying to push them to do something that is not really congruent with their desire for life. Right.
It's that's a topic on its own. It's a struggle to find a real support system. You got just a team that believes that, you tell them. It's like you tell them, like, this is what I want to do. And for them to believe that, yeah, Jules, you could fucking do this. That means the world to me. This is, we're all human beings, right? We're all human beings. And even the small, like, a thought of, being on the levels of, what we categorize as the highest form of whatever, if it's fame, celebrity status that you're chasing, or if it's just a means of changing the world and being a spokesperson, a figurehead, of a facilitator of change, to be on that level where, people are genuinely listening, that's the exact same feeling I'm at. I want to be a facilitator of change. I want to share a message to the masses. But when you tell people that, there's only a select few that can look you dead in the eye and be like, yeah, I believe you, and I believe in your talent. I believe you have to go through the struggle of people actually shooting down that idea like, well, you know what? That's the music industry is so saturated, and you're 5'6", you're an Asian Filipino, you know what I mean? So it's a blessing that I got a strong team behind me in this city, but we have barely tapped into the markets that we want to reach out to.
And that's such a key point, that there's so many people out there that are just so negative towards anything positive in life. Yeah. And that's just because of the way they were just brought up.
I mean, I don't mean to cut you off. It's strange to me. It blows my mind. I mean, even on social media means of someone posting a picture or someone sharing a story on Facebook, or there is a weird perception that we as human beings have of what's right and what's wrong, what's positive and what's negative. But the negative energy out there, I sort of sit back and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe how much is going on right now. It's be selective with what you choose to absorb.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
The information out there is so accessible now, but at the same time, it's almost like we're losing touch with what our real purpose is and what our real intentions are. I feel great complimenting someone with no favor or in exchange. There's no, it's a genuine interaction of, you know what, good on you. I'm so happy you're pursuing your passion as a photographer. Fuck, I hope you go the lengths of Vancouver to New York. And there's no, facade behind that.
Oh, for sure.
I genuinely mean that shit.
And I feel that social media and having the ability to say something so negative and so easily through a keyboard and not having to face that person.
Right. Yeah.
It gives people this false sense of, they can just choose to write whatever they want.
Right. It's scary because the generation coming up, we didn't grow up. We grew up with the internet,
right?
Not on this level. You can find out all about
anyone.
You can find out about the history of your culture, whether and if you really are looking for information, I mean, it's out there. And what also is out there is the media. Let's be real. The media out there is choosing certain popular figures and having them be the focus of attention. I'll just whatever comes to my mind. There's the fresh, Meek Mill and Drake beef going on right now. And that's just because it's blowing up. But that's going on, and people's attention are shooting that way. And they're shooting to the attention of the, unfortunate incident that, not even unfortunate, just, what was it? Cecil the Lion, who got,
right.
He just, the media is choosing.
The focus is just on the wrong things.
The focus is, it's there, but do you see the attention it's getting? Like a lion being hunted is getting the attention, whereas years ago, shit, man, there were animals and lions, same thing. Like shit was being, these animals and creatures were being hunted by, whatever means. Do I agree with, this guy going out there and torturing this poor lion? No, because I'm not a fan of, just going out there by
cruelty, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Animal cruelty and all that. It's not me, but that's what the media is portraying as what's important. But shit, there's real shit that's going on right now. There are activists in Afghan right now throwing bombs in houses and killing 18-month-old babies. There are extremists out there. There's stabbings out at there's the gay pride parade was last weekend,
right? And
I believe this was in I want to say in Jerusalem, where there were 6 people, a woman stabbed, a kid stabbed, and it's unfortunate the shit that goes on out there and where the media plants the attention to, because there's a lot going on. It's all accessible.
So people, just make sure you know where you're getting your information out there, and really be selective what you take in. Right.
If you're gonna get involved to the full extent of knowing before saying. I guess that's what I'm trying to, where I'm coming from is really know, because we're no better than, we're no better than who we can be from yesterday. That's us. It's who we choose to be. It's how we put our energy out there. If you're gonna get involved and have something to say, by all means, have the full information behind it.
And now that your first album was actually released, Vancouver's Own Unknown.
Yeah.
What's that feeling like, being a creative and seeing that the finished product after the length of hard work, the time it took to get from the very beginning, just the vision of it, till the final product? Describe what that's like.
Oh man. First of all, shout out to a producer, my good friend, one of my best friends, EveKey. She'll understand this just as much as I'm saying this. It was a serious grind. even in this city, you know, I love Vancouver. Born and raised in Vancouver. I want to help the industry here come up to how far we can take it. I want us to be taken seriously. I want people to know, and by people I mean, you know, North America, Europe, Asia. I want people to know that there's talent here on the west side of Canada, you know, like not just Toronto, but there's talent here. Put in this project, I mean, the title says it on its own, or by itself, is Vancouver's Own Unknown is really a definition of me being taken seriously in my own city. You know, I'm not trying to be the guy to put us on. Did I have that chip on my shoulder when I first started? Absolutely. I had a huge chip and ego on my shoulder, like something to prove. Right. You know, like we all go through that. You know,
I think sometimes you need that though, like that, just that rawness of it all.
I feel you, but I think the competition is really about itself versus with other people, you know, other artists. I mean, it's good that there's competitive nature out there, you know, like I think I feed off of that.
But it's funny because it's almost like going full circle because anything great that you want to do, it's always you want to prove what you got, you want to prove to the rest of the world. But as you go through the whole cycle of it all, you come back, then it's remarkable that you're just going against yourself.
Right. That's exactly what it is. And Vancouver's Own Unknown, I mean, the title, it's funny, we had to talk about the title because we're just like, well, I don't know if this is something, like, from a business standpoint, like, I don't know if this is marketable to the masses because, like, people don't know who Vancouver is, or you know, what Vancouver is, like, what it sort of downsizes the potential reach. But when you talk about this story, like when I'm telling this story from front to back, you know, wrote it from my truest form of vulnerability. You know, I was a mess when it came to partying, when it came to intoxication with alcohol, whether it be drugs or, you know, sipping on, you know, a 2.6 of tequila. You know, it was a rough time in my life where I didn't even know myself. But at the same time, there were glimpses of what I knew and what I know I could be just as a person. And telling the story and letting my story out was one of those things. I had to sit my mom down and let her know, hey, you're going to hear some shit about me that you may have never heard before. And my mom was like, you know, my mom and pops are like my best friends now. I can tell them anything. But I was straight up telling them, you're definitely going to hear some shit. So putting this story from front to back, from my life of, I'll just be blunt, life of partying and intoxication to a life of sobriety where if I'm going to be loved, liked, hated, respected, being a figure of hope or a figure of hate, if I'm going to be any of those things, I'm going to be 100% myself because there's no excuse of saying, oh, well, you know, this was my life of intoxication. This is my life. No, and seeing it from front to back is almost like, fuck, we did that. You know, we put that shit out there. And I want to share this story. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like, you know, kids these days, in you know, the generation that's growing up, they're all about partying and, you know, they got the luxury of learning just by snap of the finger. You could YouTube a video of how to
Google everything.
You could Google everything. You could, you know, learn how to make beats. You can learn how buildings and architecture are put together. You can learn where geographically, you know, the distance is between here and Boracay, Philippines. Like, it's just that accessible, you know, if you choose to, you know, look into that. But, you know, it's, you know, putting this from front to back, I'm trying to let people know, like, hey, if you have the luxury of this information, know what you want to be. If you want to party, by all means, you know, go through that lifestyle, but fucking party smart. You know, don't drive home drunk. You know, don't overdose on, what do they call it these days, Molly? Yeah. I mean, I just called that shit pure ecstasy back in the day, just bombers, whatever it was. But, you know, party smart. You know, like, don't be too cool to take a cab home. Otherwise, you might not have a life tomorrow to live up to your potential and source, you know, seek out the information you truly want and you're looking for. Don't be part of the in thing, and don't be afraid to feel different. Is really what the message I'm trying to, you know, spread out there.
And really find out who you are.
Absolutely.
And don't rely on external validation from other people to tell you that you're good enough.
I mean that it's perfectly fine to have self-confidence. You know, people look at Kanye all the time and be like, "Oh, this motherfucker's arrogant. He's so cocky. He's just." If you believe in yourself to that extent, this is what I mean by positive and negative energy. There are the masses that look at Kanye West and they see him. Yeah, he's done some questionable things, but if you listen to the shit that comes out of his mouth, sometimes I look at him like pure genius. And times I look at him, I'm like, oh, shit, he could have done that better. But fuck, we're all human beings.
But the one thing I respect about him is he's not scared to be who he is.
Exactly. And it's almost like we're afraid to be fully ourselves. Like you said earlier, man, that when you were mentioning, people typing behind a keyboard and how easy it is to talk smack about someone behind a keyboard. Listen, he's saying it while the screen is on. How much confidence does he have to really pull that off, to the world? You doing it behind a screen and you think that you're all high and noble and you're living this life on a different level where you have this righteous
Attitude.
Attitude, exactly. But shit, better than he is if you're going behind the screen and hating on and putting this negative output, whatever your opinion may be. Why not just, if that's your feeling and just let it go, then fine, that's cool. But putting it out there and saying, this guy's a fucking asshole, what a jerk, I mean, okay, well, that's just name-calling now.
Yeah, that's adding that negativity to the rest of the universe, right?
Exactly. I mean, he's doing him. The way I say it, he's doing him, so.
So let's go back to your album here. And before this first album came out, you had 2 mixtapes. The first one was Green Light Go, and the second one was a Free Music mixtape. And I can't remember which song was in this particular mixtape, but you released a Pipe Bomb, the Pipe Bomb.
Oh, that was a promo single on its own. Yeah.
That I felt that one, man. That one was heat right there.
Shout out to my partner EveKey. She produced that, and that was almost a pivotal moment for me too. Just if I'm gonna be real, if I'm gonna be honest with myself, it's funny because a lot of people were saying, "Well, who are you talking about there? Who is that directed to?" I'm like, how do you know it's directed to anybody? The way I wrote that was, I'm almost talking about my former self. I'm almost, if there was JULS now and the cleanest version of Julian before, it's like, how do you know I'm not talking about myself? If people were offended by that track, here in the city, then maybe it was directed for you. If you feel like it's directed for you, maybe it's directed to you. But at the same time, I'm writing that about me. Everything that's coming out is about me. So it was, thanks for bringing that up because that was one of the realer tracks that, ever.
And is EveKey the only producer on this whole album?
On Vancouver's Own Unknown? Yeah. She is. Yeah, she absolutely is.
Because I felt the beat and the transition from song to song. So the album starts off just with this electric energy, man. I'm like, man, all right, I feel it. I'm feeling this all the way through. And in the middle, it just gets more like, it calms down a little bit. It gets to more of some of the things that you've gone through and shares that story.
Right.
And then on the 7th track, Raw and Uncut, which is my favorite, man. That is when it just my favorite track. I was just driving, listened to your track, and we just spoke on Facebook. And I'm like, I have to get this, and I have to support this, my friend, first of all. But I have to support talent, regardless of who it is. And to me, this was fire. Right. And then
much love on that.
Because I listened to the lyrics, I love the lyrics, and when you said the Super Saiyan flow, and I was like, oh man, I know this. And for anyone listening out there that doesn't know what that is, turning Super Saiyan is just like a transformation into the most extraordinary version of you possible. That's like Clark Kent transforming into Superman, Bruce Wayne going into Batman.
Right.
Right, and then when you start saying that, and then you just lit it up.
Right.
And then in the next verse, how you described what some people could consider as failure, and then leading it on to greatness, and you portray the story of Kobe Bryant getting drafted 13th overall, right? And the team that drafted him gave him up for someone that they thought was better.
Right. You did your homework on that because it's crazy how I never actually mentioned Kobe Bryant, but I mean the subliminals there were quite obvious to be an oxymoron at some point. But Yeah, when I say, Lakers turned 8 into pure gold, and you sort of catch on to that story. He tore his Achilles back in 2013. He was, I would say he's the best player in the game today, and driving his team with high expectations, trying to make the playoffs, just overexerting himself and performing at a monster level. You're only human at sometimes, and he tore his Achilles, and most people said, "Oh shit, it's it." If you've watched his document, it's funny. I just watched his documentary. I was saving it for a time where I just wanted to study a different motivation, a different animal, a different beast, and his Muse documentary explains that. It could have been done. It could have been over, and his legacy could have been finished. But fuck no, he said, "No, I'm gonna prove the naysayers wrong. I'm going to come back, stronger, better than ever." And just this past season, he came back, played, some 30-plus games, and he just cracked, the scoring, not scoring title, sorry.
The leaderboard.
Leader on, he's third most points
of
all time, passing Michael Jordan. Yeah. And everyone knows Michael Jordan, like everyone wanted to be like Mike, and now there's a generation that wants to be like Kobe. So... yeah, that line was really just saying, at the time where you see the future, this is the future right here. And, I think it was the Charlotte Hornets, they must have felt sick. They traded him for Vlade Divac, and, history wrote itself.
And everyone out there, you have the right to be great. Don't ever feel like you need to conform just because that's how everyone else feels, and you're the only one standing above the rest.
Yeah.
It is your complete right to follow your gut and follow your heart. And I love the next part of the verse. I'll say it, but then you can say it after.
Word.
To make history and not be history. To be remembered, not to be a distant memory.
That's right.
I'm going to do this shit till my city be accepting me. That's Van City to the motherfucking death of me.
Word.
To make history, not to be history. To be remembered, not to be a distant memory. Shit, I'ma do this till my city be accepting me. That's Van City till the motherfucking death of me. Just soul, just lyrical, just unique. EveKey, they gon' feel this, just you wait and see. Just you wait and see.
Word.
And I'm like, holy crap. Like when I heard that, I'm like, man.
Yeah.
That passion, that desire.
Thank you, man.
And just the outlook of the way you put that thought into lyrics, I thought it was phenomenal.
Thank you, man. I mean, that means a lot. I mean, you did your homework on that, so thank you for, sharing that. It really is how I feel. It's I mean, if you're gonna be here on this, with this lifetime, this is all, this is like loaned time. What we choose to do with our time is dependent on us. Really no excuses. I mean, and everyone that, if you work a 9 to 5, all respect to you. I mean, all respect to you. Whatever responsibilities you choose to put on that level, all respect to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not, by chasing greatness is almost just like, define yourself. Really define yourself. You could see greatness in your family. If you have a family and you see greatness in them and your legacy, work the fucking hours to provide for them and not have that, negative attitude. But, fuck, I wish I could have done this. I wish I could have done that. That's your family. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I'm trying to say here is, while I'm here, I mean, I don't got a family yet. I do plan on having one someday. But while I'm on this time, I'm going to chase something that I know is real and that is attainable, and I ain't going to be forgotten about it.
Yeah, you guys have to look at everything. You can look at things in life two ways. You can either look at the opportunity or you can look at the obligation. Any scenario in life, that's how you can look at it. Regardless of how negative it could be, you could choose to put yourself somewhere else.
Right. I couldn't agree with you more.
And just touching back to what life really means, and to me, what I think it is when you look down that long road, all we're going to have is just a catalog of memories. That's it. You can't take the money with you. You can't take the fame with you. But the only thing you can take with you is knowing who you were.
Yeah.
Knowing that you fulfilled your passion and your purpose for this earth.
Exactly. I could not agree more. I mean, if the motivation is money, and you know, just make sure it's by the right means. That's all it really is. But so long as your intentions are pure, you know, so long as, you know, your drive and energy focus is pure, I mean, no one can take that away from you.
All right, Julian, do you have any shows coming up in the next little while here?
Yeah. I'm gonna be stepping out of Vancouver for the first time and touring with Bone Thugs. Something special. I mean, shout out to Mark Rasta and Spotlight Productions for making that happen. But yeah, in the month of September.
Yo, man, congratulations.
You,
That's
man.
news to me too, brother.
I appreciate that. Yeah, so I'm gonna be in Edmonton and Calgary, coming back to Vancouver, and I'm gonna be performing, you know, tracks off my new album. Got a couple things lined up, you'll see me on YouTube with a new music video coming out soon. Titled Crossword.
Crossword.
It's track 3 on the album, and it's cool because I've been wanting to work with the Vancouver's talented hip hop dancers for some time now, and this product has given us that ability to make sure that collaboration happens. So my homeboy brother Jerome Esplana, I'm wearing his hat. You can't see it, but I'm wearing his hat right now. Y'all should check out his gear. It's www.mecenasesplana.com, and he's got some fresh gear out there. But he's in this music video with a group of talented dancers, 7 total, including himself. There's Jerome, there's Rena, Roberta, Shauna, Richie's in this, Alamar, and my boy JP. I even got my girlfriend Carly on this. She's Devil in a red dress.
Oh, there.
You know, and just putting that collaboration happen. I mean, that's what I'm saying is, we have talent in this city, and I'm gonna do what I can to the fullest extent of, you know, whatever my budget is, you know, whatever the level of exhaustion is of what the creative is. You know, shout out to Lightball Media for making this happen with the budget we did have, because, you know, this is something that we've been wanting to get done just to showcase what Vancouver is all about. So you'll see this soon. It's going to be dropping August 19th, August 20th. We're going through the final stages of editing right now. So.
All right, guys, and Julian does have 3 videos up on YouTube already. So one is Green Light Go, the second is Wake Up, and his third one is Spread the Love. So you guys want to check it out. Good clips, and then in anticipation for the new release.
That's what's up. Yeah, follow me on all platforms if you're tuning in right now. JULS is my name. JULS, Green Light Go is a team, so GLG. Just JULS GLG on YouTube, Instagram, SoundCloud, Facebook, whatever means you got.
Yeah, and same thing, website address. You can listen to his music there at julesglg.com.
That's right.
He is on iTunes as well. So if you're listening to this podcast, show the man some fire and let's support local talent.
Hey, man, that's what's up.
Hey, Julian, you know, I know you're a busy cat right now. You got to make big things happen. I am proud that you're, first of all, a friend of mine. I'm proud that you're doing what you love, and I'm proud that you're really representing Vancouver talent.
Respect, man. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate the time, man. Anytime you want to shoot a podcast with me, man, I am down. So just let me know.
All right, guys, you heard this first. Jules, before he gets ultra famous, was on Living at the Highest Level first with LATHL.
That's my man.
All right, make things happen. Get off your ass and take and make life what you want it.
That's what's
and
up.
We're out.
Thanks again for tuning in to Living at the Highest Level. We'll see you next week.